Once upon a time in a bustling city, there lived a wealthy and arrogant woman named Victoria. She resided in a grand, opulent mansion on a hill overlooking the city, her home a testament to her wealth and status. Victoria was a tall, slender woman with sharp features and impeccably styled dark hair. She always dressed in the finest clothes, adorned with the most exquisite jewelry. With her elegant gowns and pearls, Victoria exuded an air of superiority that she carried with her everywhere she went. The city below was a hub of activity, teeming with people from all walks of life. The streets were lined with markets, restaurants, and shops, with the constant hum of conversation and laughter filling the air. The city was a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds, an ever-changing tapestry that was as diverse as it was lively. Victoria, however, rarely set foot outside her ivory tower. She spent her days sipping tea in her lavish drawing room, looking down upon the city from her window with a mix of disdain and indifference. The people below were nothing more than a blur of faces to her, insignificant and easily dismissed. Although Victoria was well known for her wealth and beauty, she was equally infamous for her unkindness and haughtiness. She had few friends and was rarely seen at social events, preferring the company of her books and her solitude. She believed that her wealth and status placed her above the common folk and had little patience for those she deemed beneath her. On the rare occasions when Victoria would venture into the city, she made sure to surround herself with a small entourage of servants, who would cater to her every whim. Her presence was met with a mixture of awe and contempt, as the citizens whispered about her ostentatious displays of wealth and her cold, imperious demeanor. Despite her reputation, Victoria was content with her life. She saw no reason to change or question her beliefs, convinced that her wealth and status were proof of her superiority. Little did she know that a sudden turn of events would soon force her to confront the world she had so long ignored and to reevaluate her perspective on life. One fateful day, as Victoria sat in her lavish drawing room, a knock at the door interrupted her afternoon tea. Her butler, James, entered the room with a solemn expression on his face. He hesitated for a moment, as if unsure how to deliver the news he carried. Finally, he spoke, his voice heavy with concern. "Madam, I regret to inform you that there has been a terrible accident," he said, his hands shaking slightly. "Your family's business ventures have suffered a catastrophic loss, and I'm afraid that you are now penniless." Victoria's face drained of color, her eyes wide with disbelief. "This cannot be," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "I am Victoria Langford. I cannot be destitute." Despite her protests, the truth was undeniable. Victoria's once vast fortune had vanished overnight, leaving her with nothing but her mansion and the possessions it contained. As the news spread throughout the city, the whispers about Victoria grew louder and more venomous. The woman who had once looked down upon them all was now as vulnerable and desperate as those she had scorned. Faced with this harsh reality, Victoria realized that she could no longer afford to maintain her extravagant lifestyle. Reluctantly, she dismissed her servants, sold off her priceless art and jewelry, and finally, with a heavy heart, put her beloved mansion up for sale. Penniless and homeless, Victoria found herself wandering the streets of the city she had once ruled from her lofty perch. With no friends to turn to and no skills to support herself, she was at a complete loss. For the first time in her life, she was forced to confront the world she had so long ignored, navigating the crowded streets alongside the people she had once deemed beneath her. As Victoria stumbled through her new life, she began to see the city and its inhabitants in a new light. The people she had dismissed as insignificant were now her peers, and their resilience and kindness in the face of adversity humbled her. She marveled at the bustling markets, where merchants and customers haggled good-naturedly, and the vibrant community of street performers, who brought laughter and joy to passers-by. The city was teeming with life, and Victoria, for the first time, truly saw the beauty in it all. As Victoria's days passed, she began to form connections with those around her. One day, she met an elderly woman named Mabel, who sold flowers from a small, wooden cart. Despite the hardships she faced, Mabel always had a warm smile and kind words for everyone she encountered. Victoria found herself drawn to the older woman, and they would often share stories and laughter as the sun set on the bustling city streets. Mabel taught Victoria many things, from how to survive on the streets to the importance of generosity, even when one had little to give. Victoria observed how Mabel would sometimes give flowers away to those who looked like they needed a touch of beauty in their lives. This small gesture, which cost Mabel so little, brought immense joy to the recipients. Victoria began to understand the value of kindness and the impact it could have on others. Another person who touched Victoria's heart was a young boy named Tom. He was an orphan who had been living on the streets for as long as he could remember. Tom was clever and resourceful, and he showed Victoria how to find food and shelter when times were tough. In return, Victoria taught Tom how to read and write, using discarded newspapers they found in the trash. As they spent time together, Victoria and Tom formed a bond that transcended their differences in age and social status. Tom's optimism and resilience in the face of adversity were a constant inspiration to Victoria, and she marveled at his ability to find joy in even the smallest of things. With each passing day, Victoria's heart began to open, and she learned to appreciate the value of the connections she had forged. Her experiences with Mabel, Tom, and countless others taught her that there was more to life than wealth and status. They showed her the power of empathy, the importance of humility, and the beauty that could be found in the most unexpected of places. As Victoria continued to live among the people she once looked down upon, she realized that her previous life had been hollow and devoid of true connections. The friendships she formed in her new reality were built on trust, compassion, and understanding, rather than superficial appearances and material possessions. One evening, Victoria found herself sitting in a small park, sharing a meager meal with Tom and several other homeless individuals. As they ate and laughed together, a sense of camaraderie enveloped them. For the first time in her life, Victoria felt like she belonged. The warmth of the bond she had forged filled her heart with gratitude and humility. One day, Victoria received unexpected news. Her late uncle's will had been discovered, revealing that he had left her a substantial inheritance. Suddenly, she found herself in possession of the wealth and status she had lost. However, her experiences on the streets had changed her irrevocably. Rather than returning to her old, luxurious life, Victoria decided to use her newfound wealth to help those who had helped her. She started by setting up a shelter for the homeless, providing a safe space for people like Tom to sleep, eat, and receive the support they needed. She also organized a free educational program, ensuring that children like Tom had access to learning and opportunities they would otherwise be denied. With Mabel's assistance, Victoria opened a flower shop, employing people who had been struggling to find work. The shop became a thriving business and a symbol of hope in the community. It was a place where anyone could come, regardless of their circumstances, to find solace in the beauty of the flowers and the warm, welcoming atmosphere. Victoria also made a point of visiting her former social circle, sharing her experiences and the lessons she had learned. At first, many of her old friends and acquaintances were shocked by her transformation, but some were deeply moved and began to reassess their own values and priorities. Slowly but surely, Victoria's influence began to ripple through the community, inspiring others to embrace empathy, kindness, and humility. Months passed, and the changes Victoria had initiated in her community began to take root. As the shelter and the flower shop thrived, more and more people were touched by her story and inspired to make a difference in their own lives. Victoria's former disdain for those less fortunate had transformed into a deep sense of responsibility and a desire to lift others up. One day, while working in the flower shop, Victoria met a young woman named Sarah, who had recently lost her job and was struggling to make ends meet. Sarah had a passion for painting but had never been able to pursue it due to her financial situation. Sensing potential in the young woman, Victoria offered her a job at the flower shop and encouraged her to pursue her artistic dreams. In her spare time, Sarah began painting scenes inspired by the beauty of the flowers in the shop. Her talent was evident, and soon her artwork began to attract attention from customers and passers-by. With Victoria's support, Sarah held her first art exhibition at the flower shop, which was a resounding success. The news of Victoria's transformation and her efforts to help others spread far and wide. People from all walks of life started visiting the flower shop, not just to buy flowers or admire Sarah's artwork, but also to meet the woman who had turned her life around and become a beacon of hope for others. Despite her newfound fame, Victoria remained humble and focused on her mission to help those in need. She continued to work closely with Mabel, Tom, and the rest of her team at the shelter, ensuring that everyone who sought help received the support they needed. Her dedication and selflessness inspired others to volunteer their time and resources, further strengthening the community's resolve to uplift one another. As the years went by, Victoria's impact on the lives of those around her continued to grow. The once arrogant woman, now a compassionate force for change, had learned that true wealth and happiness could not be measured by material possessions or social status, but by the love and respect of those she had touched with her kindness and humility. As Victoria grew older, her legacy lived on through the people she had touched and the community she had helped to transform. The shelter expanded, providing not just a safe haven but also resources and opportunities for those seeking to rebuild their lives. The flower shop flourished as well, becoming a symbol of hope and a gathering place for people from all walks of life. One day, Victoria received a letter from a stranger who had heard her story. The writer expressed their gratitude for the hope and inspiration she had given them, and enclosed a beautiful painting of a blooming flower as a token of their appreciation. Victoria hung the painting in the flower shop, a constant reminder of the difference one person could make in the lives of many. As the years passed, Victoria's health began to decline, but her spirit remained strong. Sarah, who had become like a daughter to her, took over the management of the flower shop, ensuring that Victoria's vision and legacy would continue to thrive. Mabel and Tom, now leaders at the shelter, continued their tireless work, inspired by the woman who had once been their unlikely savior. When Victoria eventually passed away, the entire community mourned her loss. They came together to celebrate her life, sharing stories of her kindness, wisdom, and the impact she had made on so many lives. Even in her absence, Victoria's presence was still felt, her lessons of empathy and humility living on in the hearts and minds of those she had inspired. In the end, the once arrogant woman who had learned the true value of kindness and humility left an indelible mark on the world. Her journey from a life of privilege and disdain to one of compassion and service served as a powerful testament to the transformative power of empathy and love. Through her actions and the lives she touched, Victoria's legacy of hope and unity continued to bloom, like the flowers she had once cherished, long after she was gone.